Today I am covering the second step of service-oriented design life cycle. So in my previous video, I have already covered the first step of service-oriented design, which is based on Compose SOA. So in Compose SOA, we have seen that we have already covered that Compose SOA topic, service-oriented designing step 1. This Compose SOA phase further divided into choosing the choose service layers. Then second step is position core standards, and the third step is choose SOA extension. So in Compose SOA, we are identifying, we are analyzing the web services. After analyzing the web services, we are identifying the candidate services. After identifying the candidate services, we are identifying the flow, the algorithm for each and every web service candidate. And after algorithm is finalized, that algorithm is further converted into flow chart or activity diagram. So diagrammatic representation of that algorithm is again took place in Compose SOA phase. And when the flowchart is ready, then the second step is position core standard. So we use the standard which is used in web services, which is the XML. So we use the XML, and with the help of XML, we create the WSDL document, and the WSDL document is again finalized, and WSDL document is again designed, and we have started the work on WSDL document, and then choosing the SOA extensions. There are different extensions are again applicable on the service oriented architecture. So choosing the extensions which is based on the web services. We know that there are different extensions are again available which is applicable on web services. So we are identifying the extensions, and that extensions may be the web service addressing, web service reliable messaging, web service correlation, web service policy framework, web service metadata exchange, web service security, web service notification framework, and web service eventing. So applying these different extensions on the identified web service candidate. So we have already covered the Compose SOA phase. So today I am covering the next step of service oriented design is step 2. I have already prepared the video on Compose SOA. If you have not visited, please go and visit the video which is based on Compose SOA. Today I am covering the second step of service oriented design, which is designing entity centric business service. So entity-centric business service is the step number 2. We have already seen the Compose SOA phase, and today I am going to cover the design entity-centric business service. So all the remaining 4 phases are based on designing. So after Compose SOA, all the remaining phases are again based on designing. So in second step, we are designing the business entity-centric business service. In third step, we are designing the application services. And in the fourth step, we are designing the task-centric business services. And the fifth last step of service designing is based on designing service-oriented business processes. So today I am covering the designing entity-centric business service. So see here, 4 main types of service layers we identified previously following the suggested design sequence. So design sequence are as follows. So designing entity centric, design application service, designing task centric, and designing the business process after Compose SOA. So let us start the designing entity centric business service. So entity centric business service. So this service represent one service layer that is least influenced by the other. So entity-centric business services are least influenced by the other services or other the clients. So the purpose is to accurately represent the corresponding data entities defined within an organization business model. A business model contains many data entities. So many entities are again required for storing the data, processing the data, and these entities are again least influenced by the author in entity-centric business service. So see here, the entity-centric business service is further divided into 7 important steps. And these 7 important steps are: review existing services, define entity schema, then derive abstract interface, apply service orientation, then standardize service interface, then extend service design, and identify required processing. So today I am covering these 7 steps which is used in entity centric business services. So review the existing services. We have already identified the service candidate. So let us start the procedure of reviewing the existing services. So see here, if we have seen the layered architecture. In that layer architecture, the entity centric services establish the business service layer. So this is the service interface layer, and in that service interface layer, this layer represent the entity centric business service reside in the business service layer. So this is what the main business service, and this main business service is based on the entities required. So these 4 entities required for processing this particular business service, and the client can access these particular services with the help of their client application. And here the business process layer includes the processing logic. So business logic is written here, then service candidate, service method class is again written here. So entity centric. So entity centric business services are again used for retrieving the data from the database with the help of business process layer, with the help of business logic. So we have already covered this entity-centric approach. In an entity-centric approach, we have seen that timesheet submission process service is divided into 4 different entity-centric entities. The 4 important entities involved in entity-centric approach related to timesheet submission process is employee, then the timesheet. So employee entity, timesheet entity, then timesheet submission process service entity, and the last one is invoice entity. So this timesheet submission process service is divided into 4 important web services, candidate services. The first one is employee, second one is timesheet, third one is timesheet submission process service, and the fourth one is invoice. So these 4 important entity-centric services we have identified for the timesheet submission process. So the first entity is employee, and these are the methods which is based on employee entity: get weekly hour limit, updated employee history, and send messages. And in case of timesheet, get recorded hours for customer, get overtime hours for the customer, and get authorization. In case of timesheet submission process service, the methods are compared recorded hours with billed hours, confirm authorization, and compare weekly hour limit with hours recorded. And the last entity which is involved is the invoice entity. So getting the customer detail from the invoice entity and get billed hours to the customer, which is a part of invoice entity. And we have already seen this table structure required, database structure required for this timesheet submission process service. If you have not seen my video, which is based on the case study, timesheet submission process service, you go and visit that, see that video. So in that video, we have divided timesheet submission process into different entities. So these many entities are again involved in time submission process service is the customer entity, appointment schedule entity, timesheet entity, invoice entity, employee entity, and employee history entity. And we have already seen the methods performed on these particular entities. So let us see the one by one the steps involved in the second step of service oriented design is entity centric business service design. So the first step is review the existing services. You identify the service candidate and you find out that service candidate is already exist or not. If already exists, then retrieved means reuse that service candidate. And if the service candidate is not exist, then you develop that. You design, you analyze, you design, you code, and you test that web service candidate. So in case of employee entity, the service candidates are the methods performed on employee entity is get weekly hour limit. So for every employee working in a particular week, the fixed number of hours, so weekly hour limit. So retrieve that data from entity database. Update the employee history. Employee history table is again updated only when the timesheet is rejected. So in case of rejection only, that updated employee history method is again executed. So review the existing services, and if the existing services are again identified, available, existed, then reuse that service in our business process. Then second step is defining the message schema type. So message schema type is used for providing the input to each and every service candidate. And this message schema is again written in the WSDL document with the help of XML tags are again used in the WSDL document for defining the message schema for each and every business service. So these SOAP messages carry the payload data within a body section in SOAP envelope, and this data need to be organized and typed. I am showing you how this schema document is again written with the help of XML schema definition document. So this XML, the data need to be organized and typed. So see here, I have taken one calculator service web service schema document, calculator web service, and this is what the schema document available for the. So this is what the schema tags. So schema started, schema ended. Now, what are the main methods of this calculator web service? The main method I have considered as add. Add the two numbers. So adding the two numbers, what I required? Two elements I required, I and j. And the data type of I and j is integer. Again, when the add method is again performed, then I want the add response. And for that add response, I want the element name is add return and the data type is integer. So I am passing two variables and I am the response received in that addition response I am storing in a integer variable, integer data type. So this is what the schema. So schema is written like this for each and every service candidate. So here the service candidate is the addition web service, addition calculator service required 2 input and 1 output. Then the third step for this entity-centric business service design is derive an abstract service interface. So how to derive the abstract service interface? With the help of service operation. So we analyze the proposed service operations. So here in case of calculator service, the service operations are addition operation, subtraction operation, multiplication operation, and division operation. So confirm that each operation candidate is suitably generic and reusable. by ensuring that the granularity of the logic encapsulated is appropriate. So identify the operation of each and every service candidate, and these service candidates are again the further reusable. So the second step is create the port type or interface. So the port type is required for processing different methods, service methods. So port type, I'm showing you how to define the port type, and then formalize the list of input and output values. So the third step the third step is derive an abstract service interface. So confirm the each operation candidates are generic and reusable. Then use the port type and formalize the input and output values. So let us see the procedure. So how to formalize the input and output values, port type. So port type tag is used in the WSDL. So WSDL port type name is, the name of the service is cal service, calculator service. The operation performed on calculator service is addition operation. After execution, creation, you implement the service. So input message is what? Implement add request is the input. So provide the two variables input and then get one output. So implement the add method, add request, and implement the add response. So input is add request and output is add response. So these are the operations, and operations are again covered in the port type. So operations are covered in the port type. So here derive an abstract service interface is identify the service, then finalize the port type and finalize the input and output value. So here in calculator service, we have identified the addition operation, and addition operation required one request and one response. So with the help of request, I am passing the two variables, and in the response, I am getting the addition result of that two variables. Then the fourth step is apply different service orientation principle. We have seen in the step 3 also. So apply the reusability principle, apply the service autonomy, service statelessness. So services are not storing in the primary memory or secondary memory long term. So the statelessness, so they don't have any state. So state is not maintained. So in case of session variable, we are maintaining the state. Here the state is not maintained in case of web services. And these services are discoverable because the client can discover the web service, and client can take the reference of that web service in his own document. So apply the service oriented principle. We have already covered this principle, reusability. So we are developing the reusable service. We are developing these services are autonomous, not depend on each other, separately executed. So isolated from other services. And the state is not maintained in the services, and these services are discoverable, so that service client can easily access your services based on the requirement. So the fourth step is apply the service orientation. Then the fifth is standardize and refine the service interface. So design the service interface, then refining the service interface is the step number 5. So review the existing design standard. So the WSDL is again revised based on the end user requirement. So end user required add method. So based on that add method, we have revised the existing design service. If they suggested they want the subtraction service, so you add that subtraction operation as well. So if your design requirement include the web service one basic profile conformance. So web service one basic profile. So we have already covered the first generation web services. So first generation web services are again the WSDL document is covered, created to implement the first generation web services. So in first generation web services, the SOAP protocol is used for developing the first generation web services. So extend the service design. So extend the service design means you add the new operation, you add the new parameters. So here I have just added the operation, addition operation. If your end user says that I want subtraction, multiplication, division, modulus, square root, many operations, you can we know that the calculator is performing multiple operations. So as per the end user request, you go on adding the operation. Again, in some cases you go on adding the parameters. Here we are passing the two numbers. So for any other case, you may pass the different parameters. So adding the new parameters, adding the new operation in the existing business service is the part of extended service design. And the last phase of service centric business service design is identify the required processing. So identify the required processing on that candidate service. So study the processing requirement of each of its operation more closely. So I am showing you the operation, how these operations are again performed with the help of case tools. So here I am using the SOAP based tool for performing the operations. So see here, I have used the SOAP tool. So this is what the schema. And with the help of schema, we are providing the input, two variables. Here the question mark is given for giving the input for these two variables. So here I am giving the input 10 and 20 values. And whenever I am performing this particular request, I am getting the response. And the response is like this. The result of this addition. So the total, the result is the 30, get written. So the request is mentioned, the body part is what? The giving the input and the response written. So two variables are again passed and one variable is again written. The 30 is the return variable. So in this way, we can test the web services with the help of testing tools. So today we have covered the 7 important phases which is involved in web service design. So the web service design, the second step, entity-centric business service, is further divided into 7 different steps. So today I have covered these 7 different steps. So review the existing service, define the entity schema, then derive the abstract interface, then apply the service orientation, then standardize service interface, extend service design, and finally identify required processing. So here I have processed the addition of two number. So in this way, the entity-centric business services are designed in the service-oriented architecture. So today I have covered the second phase of service designing, which is based on entity-centric business service. So in my next lecture, I am covering the remaining 3 different design phases. So today I am covering this much only.